You're now tuned into Behind the Grind. We'll be talking on all things art, entertainment, and music. I'm your host, Young Gage from Baton Rouge, born and raised. And today I have a special guest with me who goes by the name of T Ray, the violinist. T Ray, what's going on with you today?
What's going on, brother? It's been a long time since we chopped it up, man. So
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's
super
been a
super
minute,
excited to sit down and chop it up with you this evening.
man. I'm equally excited to have you here on the platform, man. So, before we get into it, I want you, let the people know just a little bit about yourself, like where you're from, and just some personality traits, things of that nature.
Yeah, for sure. So, um, good evening, everyone. My name is T Ray, the violinist. I'm originally from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, born and raised. Currently residing in New Orleans. This has been home um, almost 20 years now. It's crazy.
Wow.
2006 is when I moved to New Orleans. Multi-genre, eclectic fusion violinist, educator, avid runner, empowerment speaker. So just somebody who's working to fulfill this purpose and help others tap into that as well.
No doubt, no doubt, man. You from Baton Rouge? I thought you was from New Orleans, bro.
Nah, man, we met in Baton Rouge. I
Where?
think
I
you
mean,
know.
okay, yeah. I mean, because I know we seen each other a few times, but most of the times that I saw you, it was in New Orleans. So I just assumed you was from New Orleans. What part of Baton Rouge you from? You don't mind me
Yeah,
asking?
I grew up in Mayfair Park
Okay,
East. Yep.
bro. That's what's up, man.
So
That's what's up.
yeah, bro. A lot of people. I always tell people like a lot of people think I'm from New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would assume because I've been here for so long and
Mm-hmm.
the bulk of my work and building my career has been based here, but I always pay homage to my hometown, no matter where I'm at in the world.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes, sir.
yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. That's double dope, man. Because all my family from New Orleans. You know what I mean?
Oh
So, yeah. So me and my brother, we represent Baton Rouge. But we
yeah,
got Baton. I mean, New Orleans in our heart. So that's super cool, man.
yeah, that's what's up.
So what kind of inspired your transition to go from Baton Rouge to New Orleans?
Yeah, so I was in orchestra in high school. I had started playing violin back in elementary school, but and we could talk about that later how
Right,
I
right, right.
initially got to it. But
Mhm.
how I ended up in New Orleans was I made the decision that I was gonna pursue music in college, and had applied to a few different universities. I had some experience being here in New Orleans during the summer for New Orleans Center for Creative Arts, NOCA, for their summer intensive program, and learned a lot about jazz music. Even though I'm a violinist,
Mhm.
and I was like, man, I think New Orleans is where I want to be, and
Mhm.
I had applied to Berkeley College of Music in Boston, a few other universities across the country, and a few here in the state. And I knew that for me personally, I knew that for me to pursue jazz, I needed to be somewhere where I could like actively um, practice that and be a part of the community and environment. So
Mhm.
New Orleans is where I ended up three weeks before the fall semester of 2006 was about to start. Got an email from UNO, University of New Orleans,
Mhm.
saying, "Hey, we would love to offer you a full ride jazz scholarship. Um, when could you come do in person audition for the
Mhm.
program?" So I was like, "Man, this is crazy!" Like I went from not knowing when I was going to be going to school,
Mhm.
for like 3.5 months applying different places, to now having like the opportunity to go study somewhere and essentially go study there for free. So I ended up in New Orleans. That's how I ended up here, man. So August 2006, moved here and never looked back.
That's dope, man. And no better place, than New Orleans in that aspect, man, because it's just an embodiment. It's in the culture. You just feel it. So that's great. Me being an artist, musically, but also, with drawings, paintings, and things of that nature, I noticed that my
Right,
surroundings or my workspace really influenced how comfortable or how great my outcome or how much greater my outcome could be, if that makes
right.
sense. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. It's super important. Like any field that a person is going into, like to make sure that your environment is aligned and cohesive with the
Mhm.
goals and the things you're trying to achieve. So yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. So give us a look into your upbringing. How were things for you, growing up as a child into the man you become today?
Yeah, so like I said, I grew up in Mayfair Park East. You know, my childhood. So I'm an only child, so I spent a lot of time by myself. I'll be honest. I had a few friends at school, but when I started playing violin, it was like it was the cool thing until it wasn't the cool thing. Like everybody
Okay.
wanted to get out of class just to, or everybody joined the the class, the arts class, just because it was an opportunity for them to get out of the regular class.
Mm-hmm.
So, once a lot of people realized we had to actually start learning how to play the violin, it wasn't just like we could sit there and like,
Right.
BS through
Right.
the class. A lot of people was like, nah, I'm not with this. I was one of those people who, decided to stick with the class. And, we talking about the 90s, like it was a time when the violin wasn't cool, especially being a young black male. Like it was seen as a feminine instrument. So there were all of these, you know, adverse effects that came along with that. So being kind of isolated, being bullied to some extent and all that kind of stuff. But generally, man, my upbringing was cool outside of that. Like, both of my parents were very supportive of everything I did. I played sports. I was a pretty quiet kid, I guess you could say. I wasn't like super extroverted nor super introverted. So I would say I had a pretty even kill childhood, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. That's dope. I think like the youngest child and only children, I think they get along, pretty good because it's kind of like a similarity. Well, I'll speak for myself because you say you're mostly kind of alone. I'm the youngest of two, but I
Okay.
spent most of my time kind of alone. I came off as reserved sometimes. It just depends on who I was around or the atmosphere and things
Right.
of that nature. Yeah.
Yeah, I say the same thing. I think I spent a lot of time trying to fit in and like find my place, and we
Mhm.
talking about all the way up into high school, because
Right.
everybody kind of had their thing. And I wasn't I wasn't the cocky person. I wasn't the one who, I guess, exuded all of the self confidence. Like some people, how some people are like really
Hmm.
confident in themselves, and like we thought it was cocky, but they were really just confident. And then there was
Right.
some people that's just cocky and arrogant.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. As
I
you
was a
mature, you start to see the difference in the two.
right, right, yeah. Like I was a real humble person, and like when I had, things that I guess you could say were milestones and achievements, like I was like, all right, that's cool that happened, and I just kind of move on to the next thing. So
Yeah. And I think that's dope. When you said the kids they were joining like violin just so they can get out of class, but then they learned that they had to actually do something. That just reminded me when I joined Key Club in high school.
hmm
Our goal was just to go to the convention at the end of the year. That was like out in Mississippi.
right,
But during that though, we learned that we actually had to do community service, and I ended up loving it.
yeah,
I didn't really realize I had like a knack for an act of service in that nature. So
mm,
it worked out in the end.
yeah, that's
You
dope.
know, yeah, that's commendable, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's pretty dope to see how you can think you're getting away from something, but you really just getting more into your purpose. If that
Yeah,
makes
that's true. That's
sense.
true, man.
All right, so what were some of your influences like as far as like violin or before we get into that, were you practicing any other types of music or instruments before violin?
No, so violin was the first thing, and then when I stopped playing in middle school, that's when I started playing trumpet.
Okay.
And I got into sports too. So I like simultaneously, I quit playing strings, because I was like, I'm not going to deal with what I deal with in elementary school,
Mhm.
going into middle school. So started playing trumpet, and then also got into football. Um, I ran track. Yeah, I ran track in middle school as well.
Word.
So yeah, that was like my transitional period, if
Okay.
you
What
will.
what did you what did you run the track? I ran track in middle school and high school.
What was I doing? I was doing like the 800. I wasn't fast at all.
800. Okay. All right. All right. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I
It was
did.
just it was just like, man, I'm gonna be an all American, quote unquote, all American athlete, and
Mm-hmm.
just do everything. Like I tried off I think it was baseball or soccer in my freshman year of high school, and like it was just too much run. I think it was soccer. It was probably soccer,
Mm-hmm.
and like they just wanted us to just run,
Yeah.
and I was like,
Yeah.
nah, I ain't got this in me. I
I mean, that's about like 95% of the sport is just
know, yeah,
yeah.
I
I did
know,
it for cross training to stay in shape for track. Yeah.
yeah. But I
Mm-hmm.
just, my body at the time, I was like, I didn't know it was gonna be, this
Mm-hmm.
intensive as far as the training. The irony is, I love running now, at
Right.
this, but yeah, man. So yeah, I did. I played. To answer your question, I did play another instrument, so played the trumpet for a little bit.
Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, the running worked out for you though. For the wind, strengthening your lungs to play the trumpet.
Right.
Uh, Man, my brother played trumpet, and I tried to go behind him and try that. Like, nah, I don't know how, brother. The force you got to put into that mouthpiece, like,
Oh
nah.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's crazy, man, because every instrument has its own like challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, like trumpet is like you got to have the wind, you got to have the breath control,
Mm-hmm.
the lung capacity for it. Violin, you need to know, the coordination of your bow hand and putting your hand on the strings and
Yeah,
knowing exactly where to put your hand on the strings and all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
dude, that's commendable, dog. Cause like I can't imagine. I'm not like coordinated like that. Would have my two hands doing two different things.
yeah,
Just like drummers or just like all that. Like hats off to that, man.
yeah. I don't know how drummers do it.
Yeah, no, bro. For the life of me, I can't. I wish I could though. I mean, I'm
Right.
fascinated by it though. I never played an instrument, and I kind of tapped around and followed sound, but I'm not like trained on anything. So
Mhm. Yeah.
anybody who's like that diligent and devoted and just professional with what they're doing, like hats off to them. You one of them people, man, for sure,
I
for sure.
appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
So now I want to ask, what are some of the influences you had, like for violin, as far as like people and or maybe just some milestones in life that kind of, you know, put you in that direction.
Yeah, so my first teacher was actually a black man, Mr. Fleming.
Okay.
So I would say, he was the first one, but what really like put me on my path to do this as a career was in high school. My best friend in high school, Sean Ward, who's also a violinist. Shout out to Sean.
Shout out to Sean. I know Sean. Shout out to
Yeah.
Sean. Yeah.
So his dad, Mr. Michael Ward, is a very well known famous jazz violinist, and excuse me, he had just finished his latest CD, and he brought it to school in orchestra class and was like, "Oh, we're gonna listen to this, my dad's CD," and then my orchestra director, Mr. Christopher Frazier, shout out to Mr. Frazier, um, we listened to it, and I was like, "Yo, this dude playing the violin and like playing stuff we not even doing in class, like we playing orchestral music."
Mm-hmm.
Um, I remember, I remember asking Sean. I say, "Man, can I take the CD home? I just want to, I just want to listen to it and kind of study it like that,"
Hmm.
because I was just that fascinated with
Right.
what he was playing, and it was like it was a full band, and like it wasn't just him playing violin. Like there was vocalists featuring on it, and man, I kept that CD probably for like 3 months. And Sean asked me every day, he's like, "I need the CD back, bro. I need."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna bring it. Then I finally eventually brought it back.
Right. Right. Right.
That was like my initial like spark, to do it. And once again, seeing somebody that looks like me,
Right.
that had a really big impact. And then I started learning about um, Mr. Noel Pointer, another black jazz violinist who's from Philly. He passed away in the early '90s. Miss Regina Carter, who I know personally now, and she's a violinist. I think her roots are in Mississippi, but I think she like came up in Detroit, and
Okay.
she's in the Northeast now. But
Okay.
like it's almost like one of them things where you get put on the one person, and then you find out
Mm-hmm.
about somebody else, and then it's just like this snowball phase. Like man, like there's a whole community of people who do this, you know. Um,
Right.
so that was like my initial introduction, and what sparked my interest, and was like that's where my, you know, my passion was really birthed out of, you know, seeing people who look like me play this instrument that is of, you know, the European background, and
Hmm.
to play music that is relatable to what I'm listening to on the radio or what I was growing up to, as opposed to orchestral music, which took me some years to like really um, build an appreciation for it, you know.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and that's one of the things, like as an educator, I always work to show my students is like, hey, like no matter what instrument you play, like you can play whatever type of music you want to play on that instrument. You know,
Right.
like there's no boundaries and no limits, because you know jazz violin, and I don't consider myself a jazz violinist at this day and age, but jazz violin goes way back. You,
Hmm.
Duke Ellington did a whole album called the Jazz Violin Suites. You
Mm.
know, um, so yeah, man, that's where my inspiration came from, man, and I work to make sure to pass that on to people wherever they are on their journey.
You definitely doing that, man. Because when you said that you had to, build an appreciation for orchestra or orchestra music,
Hmm.
like I dig it because like even though I dabble in all genres, is like that's one I had to like build up an appreciation for, and I'm still trying to build up an appreciation for country music. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
it don't speak to me. It don't get me going, which
right.
leads to my point. I can only imagine because I don't play violin, but when I listen to music, I like envision the different and what I like about hearing the violin is it just sounds like you singing with your heart. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? It's like because you just really just lean into it with the sounds and all that. I mean, is that like a an experience that you have when you do that?
Yeah, I think it's there's definitely a spiritual connection, and I would say probably depending on the type of music you're playing,
Hmm.
um, where your energy is that day, because there are some days where you know, I can feel I'm leaning further into the music and um, the expression of it. You know,
Right.
like being able to express myself through it. And then there's some days where I just feel like I might just be kind of going through the motions and playing the song. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and that could be because that particular song is a song that I played more than enough times, and I'm just kind of
Mhm.
like just kind of on autopilot, if you will. Um,
Right.
but I do think it's like the instrument is capable of doing what you want it to do.
Right.
Like, it can
Right.
sound really good, or it can sound really bad. You
Right.
know, the ears will not lie to you when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a thing of like you really can express yourself and figure out these different techniques. You know,
Mm.
um, that are gonna make the music how you want to. But then the other part that is connecting with the crowd, connecting with your audience,
Right.
because there might be a certain sequence of notes that are played or at a certain tempo or a certain feel, and it's gonna resonate with somebody, even though
Hmm.
there aren't any, even though there aren't any lyrics per se. You
Right.
know, yeah. So I
Yeah.
definitely think it's like it's an emotional, spiritual thing where you really lean into it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean that's how it hits me, because some of my favorite artists or favorite songs are because of either the strings or the woodwinds
Mm,
or just the lyrics. They resonate with me, or I can identify with them. So,
yeah,
those are some key components, and I think that a lot of us, probably wouldn't know that or be connected to that as much if it wasn't for artists like yourself. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So each one teach one. You are able to be inspired, and you're continuing to inspire others by what you're doing. So you are being seen, man, even by people who not even in the genre. You being seen, and you know
appreciate
so
that.
it's a positive look. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, I appreciate that, man.
So, what are some things that you had to, overcome to get to some of the heights that you've been. You have a lot of heights, you know what I'm saying? So what are some things that you had to, overcome or kind of like, endure to get to that next level?
Yeah. So when the first thing was when I like I said, I was a full time teacher at one point, and making that decision to leave a safe situation, if you will, voluntarily, like that was the first thing. Just like having the faith and belief in myself that this is something that I'm potentially able to do, and to do it, to do it for longer than a year. Like I
Mhm.
went into it with the mindset like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, like I'm gonna work to make a career of this.
Mhm.
If it doesn't work out, then I'll, revisit going back into education, or just recalibrate and figure out exactly what I wanted to do.
Right.
Um, excuse me. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing was just building up that, I really don't like the word resilience, but for lack of a better term, the resilience and the callous of knowing that everybody's not going to understand what I'm doing with this instrument,
Mhm.
knowing that some people may not give me an opportunity because of this instrument, or because of how I look, being a black male,
Right.
because that's just a reality,
It's a big reality.
Yeah. So, and then, people that I know and knew, because they may not be present in my lives anymore, not really seeing the vision and believing in it. So the biggest thing is just like having that belief every single day. Because I'm sure me and you both know artists who they were doing their thing, and for whatever reason they faded to black, you know,
Mhm.
and they just stopped. And a lot of times that happens because we have, myself included, we have an expectation of when this particular thing is going to happen in our career, or when we
Right.
want it to happen, I should say. And
Right.
when it doesn't happen, it may be a month, it may be a year, maybe 5 years. We tend to, human nature, I believe, we tend to like start to feel like it's not going to happen.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's a meme, but it's like an analogy as two guys digging a tunnel through a hole, through
Yep.
a underground, and you got this one guy. He's like going crazy, and he's so far much further behind than the guy who's like about to break through the wall.
Mhm.
The guy who's about to break through, if he take that axe pick one more strike to the wall, he's gonna get the diamonds. But he
Yeah.
turns back the other way. So that's the same thing, in music. It's like, or anything, it's like you have to know that you're gonna accomplish what it is you set out to accomplish, no matter how long it's gonna take.
Right.
Because I've been blessed enough to do this for, it'll be 11 years this May,
Mm.
since I stepped away from the classroom as a full-time teacher. I've been able to support myself and my now family and daughter, off of being a full-time musician. And I think it's important too, man. I'll say the other thing, like overcoming that, having the belief, but then also having the right people around you. That,
Right.
like getting the naysayers or the pessimistic people out of my life, or distancing myself, and then time just kind of takes its course. But then also having the right support system around me, that has been a tremendous help. And then, like you said, like there's those high moments, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's playing for an NBA game, or opening for a major artist, and those are the moments that like happen on your timeline that confirm that you're on the right path.
Right.
It may not happen every single week, they may
Mhm.
not happen every single month, but those are things that are like building, stacking those wins.
Mhm.
You know, if I stop, we might not be sitting there having this conversation right now.
That's a fact, man.
You
That's a
know,
fact. Yeah, if either one of us stopped, man. You know
right,
what I'm
right.
saying?
So we have to, I think, and I'll say this, and we can, move on. But I think it's a thing of like just being grateful for where you are,
Mhm.
reflecting on what you've done, and know that be flexible with the timeline that you have in mind, because God, whatever high being you may believe in, that timeline may be totally different from what your timeline is. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, man. And once again, the name of this platform is Behind the Grind, and the main purpose is to give artists like yourselves, a space to just relax and chill and share your story as well, but also to give some key points, drop some gems for those who are coming in your footsteps. And everything you just said was so needed to be heard. You know what I'm saying? It's like you just have to give yourself grace.
yeah,
Keep pushing in your environments and things of that nature, regardless of if that changes or not. You have to want to do what you're doing. You
right,
know, you
right,
have to believe in yourself. Even when the world is against you, you have to believe in yourself, and you're gonna get it done.
right,
You're gonna get it done. So I respect that, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
All right, so back into the musical influences. I know you spoke of some of your teachers back in the day, but who are some, I guess, some bigger names or just some more established artists that you looked up to or idolized even?
Yeah, man, I always this question is always interesting, because it's like asking what your favorite food is, and we
Yeah,
just
okay, yeah. Mhm.
but no, man. I would say some of my influences that have helped me, like, um just be true to myself. Robert Glasper is definitely one.
Okay.
Um, Christian Scott, who's forgive me, Chief Ajwa, because he changed his name. Chief Ajwa, who's a trumpet player and vocalist. Um, a lot of New Orleans people. I'm gonna say, PJ Morton, Trombone
Hmm.
Shorty, and these people have charted their own path, within what they do, um, as artists, and they've evolved to do so much more. John Baptiste, so much more than
Yeah.
what they what they initially started out doing. Um, so I look up to those brothers. I commend them, and
Hmm.
congratulate them for everything that they've done and all the accolades that they have. Um, yeah, I think there's something to learn from every artist, whether they're mainstream or underground, if you will.
Definitely.
But those are some of the people who I've seen and followed their careers for some time, and just see how they've been able to really control their narrative and have the autonomy over how
Mm.
they are going through their careers and lives.
Okay, that's dope. That's dope, man. So what are some of the routines that you have, like, just to maintain your discipline, like to keep your eye on the prize, to keep that focus?
Man, so every morning I wake up, journal. I think it's very important to write out an affirmation.
Mhm.
So I do three things. I write out an affirmation, whatever comes to my mind. Today it might be, I have all the resources that I need to be successful. Something as simple as that. Then I write a journal entry just to kind of clear my brain, um, from the day before, and like what I have coming up that day. I write my goals and intentions. So the things I want to accomplish for the day, a lot of times the list does not get done
Mhm.
because
Right.
sometimes it's a little bit more ambitious than time allows
Hmm.
for. Um, then I go work out, whether it's going to run some miles, going to the gym, and then I get into the nitty gritty of the day.
Hmm.
So that's kind of my daily routine. What I do on a, I guess, consistent basis, I definitely consume content, and when I say content, I mean in the form of books, podcasts, YouTube videos,
Hmm.
things that are going to help me continue to develop and learn and think smarter.
Right.
And think more critical about what I'm doing, not only just as a professional, but as in my personal life too.
Right. Right. Right.
So those are some of the things that I do, man. And once again, I keep good people around me, and like we have those transparent conversations, about
Yeah,
where we are in life, fatherhood now and things like that. So
yeah.
yeah,
Fatherhood is the best hood to be from.
bro, I'm
Mhm.
enjoying it, man.
Yeah.
We're about 2 months into it, but yeah,
Too much in? Yeah, man. I'm
late nights.
well, I got about to be 15-year old, about to be
So
7-year old, and about to be 5-year old. You know what I'm
okay,
saying? So
boys and girls, or
uh the 15-year old's a girl and the 5-year old's a girl, 7-year old's a boy. You know,
what
so
advice do you have?
bruh, okay, cool.
I know this you interviewing me, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, nah. I love to give you my advice. One, there's no book written on this.
yeah,
You know,
right.
there's no book written on it, bro. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace because it's a learning process, especially your first child,
Hmm.
for yourself and how to it's like allow people to be themselves too. So you're gonna give direction, but you have to realize this is not another you, not another the mom, but just a whole different individual who's going to take on traits
Yeah.
from the both of you, but they're going to forge their own path, man. Um, but for me, it was my first um feel of not only unconditional love, but like pure love. You know what I
Mm,
mean? When you look at that child's just innocence, like what I'm saying, melts your heart. And you want to do everything for them, but that they gotta do it. You know what I'm saying? But
right.
just be attentive, of course. But don't don't get don't get too caught up into like putting your way of things or because you would have done it this way. If they do happen to do something different, just try to understand what
Mm,
they did. I always say I speak to the me in them,
okay.
and what I don't know, what is not for me, I sit back and I learn it. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning what makes you you, but when I see the me in me, I try to guide that so you don't make those same mistakes I might have made from that thought pattern, or
Yeah,
from those actions. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
that's
But
real.
you'll love it, bro. You're a good dude, so you ain't got no choice but to be a good parent, bro. Straight up. Straight up.
Appreciate it. So far, so good. Somebody told me it's like at this point you just gotta keep them alive.
Yeah, man. Let's do the best you can, bro. That's all you can do. Plant your seeds.
Yeah.
You might tell them something, they might go out and do the opposite over and over again. But my hope and my wish is that, especially with my daughter, when I tell her something, sometimes 1 or 2 days will pass and they'll come out exactly how I said it.
Mm,
If ain't nothing else happening, you trust my word now. You know what I'm
right.
saying? You trust
Right.
my word now. So when you find yourself in a situation, if I ever said something of the sort, you're gonna give it a second thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of the things. A lot of times, parents say, "Do as I say, not as I do." Nah, we gotta be better people too. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Because
true.
they not just listening to what we saying.
They
You know
watch.
what I'm saying? They watching us, and if what we saying is in contradiction of morals of this, that, and the third, it's not gonna hit them hard, and we'll hate for the outside world to teach that lesson to them because they're gonna do it without that unconditional love, without that pure love, without that compassion. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's true. Yeah. Thank you for that advice, man.
Oh no, you good, bro. But thank you for asking me, man. I know I'm kind of all over the place, but like, yo, yeah, that's one thing I know. I don't know everything, but 3 kids in, man. I've learned a lot. Each one, the first one was maybe too protective. By the second time, it's just different kids, but we just kind of learn from each one. And with the youngest two being so close together,
Yeah.
it's kind of like they lighten the load really because when I teach my son something or when he learns something new, my youngest daughter is like, they hand in hand. So whatever he doing, she watches. She want to be a part. She want to be inclusive. So she
Right.
learning that lesson a little earlier. So it works out, man. It really
Yeah.
works out.
That's what's up, man.
So what's some of the do's? and don'ts that you can give to some some people who are aspired to walk the path you walked, or are just starting out?
Man, how much time we got?
Oh, it's as much time as you have. I know we kind of went over from what I said in the email.
Yeah. No, I'm saying that jokingly, like, man, it's a
Oh,
lot
oh
of
yeah.
jokes.
Yeah.
So I, I'll start with the dues. For any artist out there who's, you know, pursuing this dream or thing, take some time to really think about what it is you want to do. Take some time to really think about that, write it down. Think about how you want to approach it, how you want to be seen, how you want to be heard.
Mm,
Because all of those things are very important when it comes to creating your identity in your space.
right.
So that's the first thing. Next thing I would say is, write down your goals. Like, figure out exactly like what it is you want to do, why you want to do it. Thirdly, have the right support system around you.
Hmm.
Start building that team out. That's something that I wish I would have done a lot more intentionally early on, was like really building the team out. Um,
Hmm.
because it's easier to build with people in the beginning than it is to kind of already have something established and then bring people in, because there can be certain expectations or certain perceptions. But we as entrepreneurs can be really good at like trying to do everything ourselves, and
Right.
it just doesn't work, because you're going to get burnt out. You're going to not be at your full potential and reach your full potential, you know.
Right.
So I would say have that team. um Take time to reflect, you know, like, take the time to like really say, okay, am I on track with my goals for this year? Have I hit my, have I hit my goals for the first quarter of the year? If not, what am I doing that I need to do differently or adjust? The don'ts. Make sure, or another do, make sure you always have a contract.
Oh,
On the
yeah.
business side of
Yeah.
things, make sure you always have a contract. Get all of your stuff in writing, because you can show up the day of your performance, your service. If you have a, just say, I'm saying service, like if you have a catering business or something like that, like you can show up and everybody knows exactly what the expectations are,
Mm,
what the parameters are, what the restrictions are, if there are any. And that's already taken care of. You don't have to worry about any legal stuff on the back end.
mm,
Uh, don'ts. Um, if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Like, if it feels like an opportunity that's like too good to be true, like, stay away from it.
mhm,
I had somebody reach out to us. They sent me like a DM saying, "Hey, I work with this particular. I won't say the name of the company, but they work for this particular distribution company, um,
mhm,
which is an actual company based on the West Coast." I did did the research,
mm,
and told them, I say, "All right, cool. Well, here's our management and booking email. Um, you can contact us there." They came back and said something about, oh, they were ready to do a $500,000, $500,000 advance and distribution deal for 2 years, or something crazy. And
right.
I was like, this don't even sound right, because where did this person reach out to me on Instagram? And
Right.
like, they obviously they didn't do their research, like they didn't know anything about me really. And they were actually using the name of an actual person who is in the industry. But
Mhm,
this person passed away like 3 years prior to this, when I got this message. And I actually had somebody that I know that was connected to somebody who may have known them. I had
right.
to reach out to them to vet and be like, hey, is this person who they say they are? And he's like, man, that person passed away like 3 years ago.
That's
So
correct.
yeah, so don't don't, if it doesn't feel right, like, don't get into a situation. Um, don't always say yes. Every opportunity that comes your way is not the opportunity for you. And that's
Mm-hmm.
something I had to learn the hard way because when you're starting out, yeah, you take everything that comes your way.
Yep.
You gotta hide in that closet for Valentine's Day. And I'm saying this from experience. You gotta hide in that closet for Valentine's Day and pop out with that instrument. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yo, that's great. You had to do that.
Yes, bro, I did that.
Yo,
You gotta
that's
hide in the
great.
kitchen. You gotta do what you gotta do, bro.
That's
But
dope.
there's gonna come a point, and I'm speaking specifically musically. Like there's gonna come a point where it's like you have to be intentional about the spaces you're putting yourself in. Know
Mm-hmm.
your value. The longer you do what you do, the more equity you build and the more value added experience you have in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking dollars and cents, what you were charging in year one should not be the same thing you're charging at year 10
Facts.
because you continue to put in the sweat equity, you continue to, elevate and invest in your craft, invest in your business, invest in your team. So, all of those things are super, super important. Um, What do I have on the don't do's? What else? What else? I think that's all that's coming to mind right now. It's more about the do's and not the don'ts.
Right. Right.
You
Man,
want
that's
to
some excellent advice, man. I'm taking heed to what you're saying too. Some of the things I learned later in life, but I'm glad I learned it. You know, it's never too
right.
late to start applying better practices.
That's
So,
true, man.
you know, I'm,
Yeah,
I'm I'm guilty of a lot of things, and but a lot of things have been opening up for me, and you confirmed a lot of those things for me. So I appreciate you dropping that knowledge. You know, not only to me, to to all the viewers and people who will be tuning in
yeah, most definitely.
for
And
sure.
it's a marathon, not a sprint. Like
Exactly. Exactly.
everybody,
Exactly.
just take that in, man.
Exactly, man. I know a lot of times I'm real guilty of that. Well, I was guilty of that in the past. Just not taking the time to take inventory of what I have done, because
Yeah,
right now in this present moment, I feel like I should be doing something or I hadn't done enough, and I completely overlook all the things I accomplished and how I just made it to this point to sit still and be like, I need to do something else. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and then I'll say last thing I'll say is like don't. And it's crazy because you the name of this podcast is Behind the Grind. But I would say like everybody out there, don't get stuck in the hustle mode. Like don't get stuck in like just doing it because you feel like you got to do it. Or
hmm
you know, yeah, we all have obligations financially. Like we got have houses and we have households to take care of, whether it's just yourself or you and your family or your spouse or whoever. But like understand like if you continue to say yes to everything, you like you're not standing for anything, you're not having a standard of work for what you do.
Fact.
So don't don't get up in the don't get caught up in the hustle culture. Like make
Right.
sure you're building something that is going to have significance. Make sure you're building something that is going to be sustainable. Make sure you're building something that is going to transcend time, you
Right.
know. So yeah.
Definitely. Definitely, man. Great advice. Great advice. So, what are some of your proudest moments and milestones? Like, has it been some situations that you were just like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening, or you just never thought it would come to fruition?
Yes. Man, there've been a lot of amazing moments, man. And I think this goes back to what I said earlier about like my just I'm a humble guy and I acknowledge it and I keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Um I think one of the biggest moments, one of like on a private client level, like I got to play for Drew Brees' 40th birthday party, which was cool. Um that was a dope experience. It was a great event. It was a great event.
Yeah.
That was a cool moment, man. I got to open for uh Frankie Beverly and Mays, rest in peace, Mr. Beverly.
Wow. Rest
Um,
in peace.
Anthony Hamilton and K Michelle was on the lineup. This was in 2021. at the it was in Biloxi. What was the name of the show? I can't remember. I can't remember the name. It was Gulf. Oh, Gulf Coast Comedy Fest or something. Comedy and Jazz Fest or something like that. What's another moment? I'll give you one more. Playing for the Pelicans game. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I got to play my original song. It's my time doing one of the timeout segments for like a minute and 50 seconds, and to be in a an arena and have a moment to be playing my own original music
Right. Right.
for a crowd of people who gonna be like, man, who's this guy playing violin? I know him, that was a cool moment because that was a moment that like I was able to be myself, and
Mm-hmm.
I was able to play my own original music, and I knew that I worked for that opportunity. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like that's something that just happened um, in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think I'm sure there's something I'm gonna think about when we get off this, when we get off the computer. But yeah, those are some of the moments, man, and just being able to continue being on this journey, man. Like
Right.
I
Right.
think that's the biggest thing for me right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I I feel you on that with that being able to do like in all original works. You know what I'm saying? It's just like that's one of the greatest joys for me. I mean, I was blessed to do a lot of features or just work with other people, and it would be cool compositions. But when for me to put out something that's just 100% original, just just me on there, to get that same vibe or that same feel, like ain't no other feeling like that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
bro. Yeah. There's
And then
nothing.
in your new hometown, you know what I'm saying, the Pelicans too, the NBA team, the official NBA team for the unofficial capital Louisiana, you know what
I'm saying? Yeah, right, right.
I'm saying? That's dope, bro. That's dope, bro.
Yeah.
Like for real, bro. Like you are inspiration to myself and others. Dog, you got good energy. It radiates off you, bro. Like truly authentic. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't, I wouldn't have reached out. But I'm glad I reached out, and I'm glad you were able to say yes in this situation. Just so others can see that side of you, experience that good energy and that good game and gems and knowledge and advice that you're sharing, bro.
I
So
appreciate it.
I greatly appreciate that. And before we close out, what can we be on the lookout for currently and in the future from T Ray the Violinist?
Yeah, so I have a new single coming out soon called High Vibration. That'll be coming out early March. I just released my first workbook. I'm gonna have to grab a copy of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I released my first workbook, called "The Power to Win: 56 Principles to Elevate and Fuel Your Life."
Mm,
I released this in December. It's still available exclusively on my website. You can go to T-Rated Violins / the Power to Win to get that.
mm.
This is a workbook of different principles that I put together over the course of 2.5 years, that help you do the introspective work in your life, to just elevate and, like it says, elevate and fuel your life to the next level.
That's dope.
Um, Other than that, we'll have some live band shows coming up. Me and my band do this event called the Love Lounge Brunch once a month. So we'll be releasing the date for that in the March date soon. And
Okay.
other than that, man, just continue the vibes going and making sure we spreading the good gospel of music.
What I'm talking about. All right, y'all. So y'all just tuned into Behind the Ground. We'll be talking on all things art, entertainment, and music. I'm your host, Young Gage, Baton Rouge, born and raised. We just concluded with T Ray the violinist. Y'all make sure y'all check him out, follow him on all his social media platforms, and stay tuned. All right, we out.